Groovy. I think we might be streaming live already. That's so fast. I'm gonna move my camera over a little bit here too. All right, hopefully that's good right there. Howdy, rock stars. Lij Shaw. And if you're here, if you're getting on this and joining me already, jump in and drop a comment in below. That should pop up on the screen. And let me know. Drop in your name. Let us know where you are in the world, what kind of studio you got going on, and say hello. And what else? If this is your first time here too, and you want to learn more about recording, editing, mixing, mastering your best record ever, then this is the right place for you at Recording Studio Rockstars. So make sure to hit the subscribe button down below there somewhere. This is just a reminder on the screen. There you go. But hit the subscribe button here on YouTube, hit the notification bell so that you get notified whenever I do go live or when we got new videos at Recording Studio Rockstars so you don't miss anything. And hit the like button if you dig what you're seeing here too. And also drop in a comment and just, say hello and feel free to ask any questions that you've got as we do this, and I'll do my best to answer them. I'm going to try and see what's going on in the comments area and stuff like that and keep up with it. Let me see if this is rolling. See if it's going. It should be going. Yeah, cool. We're live. So today I want to cover a topic that I was recently asked about, which is taking music that's not on the grid and putting it onto the grid. It actually came up. I'm recording my album right now. I'm doing an EP of songs, 5 songs. And I spent the past couple of days in the studio with a fantastic drummer and a bass player. The drummer is a guy named Daniel Sauls, who's fantastic, just super jam, funky drummer. And Emma Lambiasi is a new bass player. That this is my first time working with her, but I'd seen her play a show here in Nashville, and she's tremendously good. So very, very talented bass player, young woman who's playing bass, recently out of college, I think. Studying all this. I think she's been playing bass since she was 9 years old, which is just super awesome. And she's got a really fantastic pocket. And oh, you know what? I may have to make this. Hold on, I'm gonna switch over here. I think I gotta make this public. I think I didn't do that yet. So, but I'll keep telling you what's going on. So, really fantastic bass player. We hit the no, we're public. We're good to go. We hit the studio for 2 days to track these 5 songs, and it went really, really well, and it was a lot of fun. And for the songs, we did do a click track. They're pretty straight rock songs, one funky ones, and some rock tunes and stuff. And one of the songs is a fingerpick song where I'm sort of playing a lower volume guitar and just trying to get into this pocket and this groove of fingerpicking it and singing it. And it was just way too distracting for me to have somebody else trying to tell me what the click might be or what the tempo was. We were really, really short for time. So we opted to just go ahead and play the song and have the band play along with me and just like try and find that feel and find the tempo. And this is a really important thing when you're in the studio about trying to get the right take with a song. It's so easy to accidentally push a band to be too fast or too slow in the studio. And it's so critical to get the tempo of a song just right. At least for some songs are, can be more forgiving than others. But a lot of songs really just have like kind of a place that they want to go for the groove of the instruments and also for the vocal and for the mood of the song and for the singer to feel like they actually want to sing it at that tempo. So in this case, I actually had the band play along with me, and we did something that I've heard of described as a Nashville start. So a Nashville start is the idea of having the band play together and you're finding the tempo and everything, and you get settled into a groove, and then you stop for a second, you pause, and you start again. And then you try and you stop just enough, not to stop playing and start all over again, but just enough of a rest in there and a fresh beginning that you're still in that groove, but you've got a good clean start. So that's what we did here. And I'll play you this song. I'll flip over to Pro Tools here so you can see what's going on my screen. And while you're here too, just heads up, if you see the, let's see, right there, that thing, right, whoops, no, that one, that right there. So that is a tip jar here at Recording Studio Rockstars. So if you're enjoying the video and you feel like helping to contribute for the channel and support Recording Studio Rockstars, I thank you greatly. There's a link down below. It goes, it's in the show notes. It'll take you right over to Streamlabs, and they accept like PayPal and credit cards. You can drop a buck in there. You can drop 20 bucks. You can drop 2 million bucks. I'll be surprised if anybody does that. But any amount is super helpful, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you very much. There's also a store there where you can go click through if you want to get a t-shirt or a mug for your studio with the Recording Studio Rockstars logo on it. So anyway, that's there. I'm going to jump over to Pro Tools, let you see my screen, and then we'll get jumping in here. So as you jump on this, if you got any comments, or if you're having, let me know if you're hearing my voice just well, and let me know if you're hearing the audio from Pro Tools great too. I don't know if the comment window's working today. I'm not really seeing it pop through with the comments coming in. So I'll just give shout outs to you guys. Dan, what's up? Good to see you here again. The resident alien invasion. I love that. That's awesome. Glad you're here. And then Louis Rodriguez, great to see you from Tampa. Awesome. Thanks very much for the compliments on the show. Appreciate it. If anybody's watching this video and you haven't seen it or listened to it already and you're not aware, of course, Recording Studio Rockstars is a podcast on iTunes, interviews with producers, engineers, musicians, all kind of amazing folks from the studio. And it's a great place for you to go and just learn for free how to make your best record ever in the studio. So if we're seeing my Pro Tools all right and you're hearing it, I'm going to press play. Let me show you what we did with this kind of Nashville start going into the beginning, and you can kind of get a sense of what we were doing. And then give me a comment and let me know if it's loud enough too. Hold on, I got to flip back over here. One way. Oop, you know what? I got to go into headphones, don't I? Or else you're going to get an echo. I'll do that for you. One way. So this is me like finding the tempo on the guitar. Band joins in. Yeah. Try and find that thing going, right? And then try and take a break. 2, 3, and. So that's it. So you have this little break right here, which you heard go by, and that is, so I can get a little bit more space on the screen here. Probably don't need the second insert. So this space is where we did the Nashville start. So also I'm getting a tiny bit of a delay with my Pro Tools because that's just what happens when you're working on it and doing the live stream from the same computer. So apologies for that. But you can see this little break here. This is where I stopped, just counted it off, and then the band starts again. And then if I zoom in, you'll see that allows me to have a clean start. I could chop this, and now this just could be the start of the song. So that's groovy, right? Now, there's a couple of ways that I would approach taking this. Now we've got a whole take here. I don't know if, I think my actual take that I'm editing into the song has a different ending and stuff. And so it's gonna look a little different, but assuming for a minute that this was the complete take that we were doing for the whole track, I'm gonna start at the left end here. And let me actually delete everything that's before that. I'm gonna start as if this was the beginning of the song. And actually, you know what? I'm going to start a little earlier than that. I'm going to do like this much of groove and then start with the whistling. And I'll show you how we can like remove that space in there and stuff like that too. But then I'm going to show you how I would find the tempo of this for a click track and to put it on the tempo. Thanks, Dan. Shout out to you, man. Appreciate it. Show you how I would put it on the click track or find the tempo. And then I'm going to show you how I would put it on the grid. And then I'm going to show you how I will go through and just take the whole song, or at least, show you the beginning of it and put that onto the grid to start tightening things up. So hang tight and I'll get into that. So here we are. I'm going to trim everything from this point to the beginning. So I'm going to start with the band coming in, this bit. Actually, I guess that's a pickup, isn't it? Here we go. Maybe I'll just keep all that in there. Start with the guitar. Okay, cool. So we'll start with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press play and I'm just going to listen. And then I have an external metronome. It's the Dr. What does that say? Dr. Beat DB66. So it's an old school one. But of course, there's digital ones you can use now, and there's ones on your phone and stuff like that. And I'll show you how I would click this out, just listening to it to try and find the tempo. You can also do it in Pro Tools directly. You could do it in whatever DAW you're using. However, I think you'll see why I like doing it this way. So I'm going to press play, and then let me switch over so you can really see what I'm doing. Now I'm going to switch over to the tap tempo mode. I'm actually turn off the volume too. Yeah. One, two, three, and. Okay. Gotta hit the button twice. So one of the things that's important is when you're trying to tap out the tempo of the song, you want to go to a part where you feel like you're really in the pocket, where you like that tempo, because obviously you don't want to tap tempo the wrong part of the song. But I came up with 121. That's what I came up with last time too. So I'm pretty confident that's the tempo I want for this song. And then I'll take that number and move it over into Pro Tools. So zoom out in Pro Tools, go up here to this 121. You know, I've already put it in there, but if it wasn't there, I would hit the plus button. Let me even zoom in a little bit so you can see what's going on. I would hit the plus button. There we go. Plus button here. Get that into the middle of the screen. Go to the 0, you know, the first bar, first beat, and then just put in 121 there. Click OK. That's going to drop this marker that you do see right now, which is already in my session because I was already working on this morning. So I'm just coming back into it to show you the kind of stuff I'm doing to arrive at this. So you've got your 121. Now, if you notice, the song goes through some verses and stuff, and there's a bridge in here somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. Love you all the time. Sometimes I wonder if the loneliness I feel is just a secret I don't want to reveal. But if the two of us could look in our hearts, we'd find a way to keep from falling apart. So that's pretty groovy, and I dig that where it's at. However, it definitely slowed down, and I really noticed it when I started editing this too, that the tempo really shifts there. So, you know, ultimately in the end, I might decide to change tempos slightly from section to section. But for now, let's just assume that I want to get the whole song onto 121. So there's a great trick here that I use, and it's totally manual, which is quite honestly, a lot of the things I like the most in the studio are not very automatic, and they're just stuff that you just learn how to do. But if we're going to say 121 is our start, then we're going to want to take, I think this is the downbeat, right? So that's the first beat of the song, right? Yeah. And that, or at least for the drums anyway. So we're going to take everything we've got in this whole song. Here's a great trick. You're going to love this. Say you're zoomed in here and you're like, okay, cool. Here's that first kick. I want to select this and move it over to the grid. Well, if you just move this over to that 47.1 bar up that you see up there, see the bar number 47.1. You're going to be like, great, we just moved this onto that bar. Awesome. Until you zoom out a little bit and you're like, oh crap, we didn't move everything over here. And then like, what about those 3 other chunks that were here in the song? Those didn't get moved either. And now this one's like way out there. Oh crap, what are we going to do? So here's a good trick for that. When you're in Pro Tools, you zoom in. Let's get back to where we were. So we zoom in. Now, if you're zoomed out, you'll really see it. If you click on this guy. Now, you know, if you hit return, it'll go to the beginning of the session. And if you hit option return, it goes to the end of the session. So what you do, let's go to the beginning of the session. I'll tab forward, and then I'll actually just scroll over. But here's where we were again. So what you do is if you want to select stuff from here out to the end of the session. Oops, sorry, I'm not on the Pro Tools screen. Thanks guys. Shout out. All right, awesome. Let me get back to it. There we go. Great. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Corey. Appreciate it. Let me know. Drop a comment and let me know what we missed, or if you felt like that was still pretty clear what I was working on. But here we are. Yeah. So let me say some of those things again. So here's the chunk of audio we're in. I'm zoomed in. There's the first beat of the song. Yeah. And we're thinking, hey, let's move that to the grid. All right. So I guess I'd do all that again real quick. So let's move this to the first beat. And you can see like, here's bar 47, number 1. And if we move this guy over to there, you think you've moved your song, but you zoom out and you go like, oops, what about the rest of the song here? So let me show you a good trick for that. I'll hit undo and put it back together. Now we're gonna move in close, and I guess I'll show you how these work first. So if I zoom out, if I hit return, it sends the cursor to, I guess I'm gonna point the other way, to the beginning of the Pro Tools session. And if I hit option return, it sends the cursor to the end of the Pro Tools session, end of the song. So that is your friend when you're trying to do selections on stuff. So if you click on here and I hit shift return, watch this. It's gonna select from that first beat all the way to the beginning of the session. But if I click at that first beat again, and then I hit option shift return, the option return is going to bring it to the end of the Pro Tools session, but the shift is going to select everything. So what you do is when you're ready and you're zoomed in on this guy and you're like, man, I need to get this to that first beat, you click on this. And what's great about this trick is it keeps you from having to zoom out a bunch while you're working. Then you hit shift option return, and whoops. Yeah, that's fine. Because it's selecting the whole chunk, it's actually taking the beginning of the chunk to the middle of my screen for me. But you know that it's selected everything in the whole song. And actually, I am going to, let me do that one more time so I'll show you how I would actually do that. I will actually take this drum beat and I will, first of all, I'm going to make it a little bigger on the screen so we can see what's going on with this. So I'll zoom up that kick drum. I'm going to select right at the beginning of that kick, chop it. So that would be the Command E. I call it Apple. Command used to have an Apple symbol on the Apple keyboard. So a lot of things I just say Apple this, Apple that. So whenever you hear me say that, it just means Command. But now I'll hit shift option return. And if I zoom out, you'll see that I've confidently selected everything to the end of the song. So I can now zoom back in. I can take this kick and slide it over towards that first beat, knowing that I'm bringing the whole song with it. And I can do it in slip mode if I want like this. And I do a lot of these in slip mode, you'll see. And now I'll select this one in front of that kick, delete it, and then I can drag it back out again so that you can see my guitars down there. Let me see if I can do this in a way where you can see the guitar and the kick more clearly. I'll make these tracks small. Let me go like this. Let me go mini, and then I'll just zoom up the kick track, and I'll just zoom up the guitar track so you can kind of see at least one of them, what's going on with those two things. And maybe I'll zoom up a bass DI too so that you can see what's up. Cool. Let me know again if you guys are seeing things and hearing things all right. But now you see that the song starts on that 17-1, and I've got the drums are there, bass, guitar. It's all staying together because I've got all my stuff grouped. When I recorded this stuff, I always make a group called tracking. I don't know if you can see that way down there. But this group down here is called tracking, and that is all the instruments that are playing together. So, and I keep them grouped so when I'm doing edits or when we do a new take or something like that, it's keeping all those things grouped together. Groups are super important in Pro Tools when you're working. Do not split your groups up by accident because you're getting in big trouble later when you're trying to figure out who played which take with what. So you want to keep that stuff organized. But let me zoom this back over. And now let's bring the whole song up to closer to the top of the session too. So also all these markers I don't think are meaningful. I think that was from previous take. So let me go Apple A. I'm going to bring everybody and I'm going to drag everybody to the top of the session. Now, a couple things you're going to notice. I'm at the top, but I bet when I zoom in on this kick, it's not going to be on the 1. See that? So you've got this problem of the top is not quite at the top. So, well, because of this extra bit right here, it's not fitting. So I'll click that now, and I'll go, again, Shift, Option, Return. So I select everything. And I'm actually going to just back that kick up until we start on bar 8 instead. So this button up here, if you're not familiar with that, that's tab to transient. And that's really handy when you don't have edits that you can tab to get to quickly, but you want to just get to where a drum hits. I tabbed to that. Actually, it did take me to the edit, which is great. And this should come back and be healed. Command H is for healing something. If you have a chop in there, but you know that there are 2 pieces that go together, just select across them, hit Command H, and it'll heal them right up. So now I can hit Apple A, select everything, and I can scoot this back until that kick is right on the 1 there. And I'm gonna press play. Great. Now I do have a click already in this session, so let me go down here. You can see what's going on. It's nothing too fancy. It's just a regular old click in Pro Tools. But when you have a large keyboard like this one, which maybe you can see if I flip back over again. I don't want to leave you guys without a Pro Tools screen by accident again. Sometimes it's hard to see my mouse there. Okay, great. So when you got a large extended keyboard, there we go. Extended keyboard, there's a number 7 on the keypad there, on the numbers pad. There it is. And if you click that, it's going to turn on or off the metronome in Pro Tools. So let me go so you can see that too. And there we go. So look up here, and that's where the metronome is. Watch the number 7 here. Oh, I got to click on Pro Tools again. Make sure it's doing it. There you go. See it's turning the metronome on and off when I click that button. So that's super handy for turning the click off during a take, at the end of a take, or just turning it on when we're about to do this. So let me go back to Pro Tools here, and you guys can see me. Great. And I'm going to turn on the click and then just press play. Oop, we don't need that much click though. Okay, can you hear the click starting to drift a little bit? So first of all, not bad, right? We were pretty close to the click for playing without a click at all. We were pretty close to being right at 121. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we can go through and in big chunks, without making everything sound robotic, get it onto this grid and get it onto the click. So there's a couple of other tricks I need to show you guys before we can really get going with that. I'm going to go back here, show you my keyboard one more time. And I got to figure out how to make it so that you can see my button strokes while I'm doing this. So here's the arrow keys right there, the down arrow, the up arrow, right arrow, and left arrow. In Pro Tools, when you hit a down arrow, it drops the selector, which is on the screen now. You'll see it when we go back to the screen here in a minute. But it allows you to drop an in point for a selection, and then the up arrow drops the out point for a selection. So if you're pressing play and you're rolling along in Pro Tools and you hit this in key, the down one, oh whoops, I just switched my screens. There we go. All right. Okay, so let me see if I can get on there. So if you hit here, let me press play in Pro Tools so you can see it, and then I'm gonna hit the space bar to play, and then I'm gonna hit the down arrow to drop a marker and the arrow up arrow to bring the selection out. Watch this. Yeah. Okay, hit the up arrow. Now, part of the problem is I've got a selection, but it went off screen. So if I want to go to where that selection is, if I hit the right arrow, it's going to take me to the right side of the selection, and the left arrow is going to take me to the left side of the selection. Watch this. Left arrow, there's the left side of it. Right arrow, there's the right side of that selection. Now, if you press play and you just drop the down arrow but don't use the up arrow at all, it's just going to simply drop that cursor as a flashing cursor like you see on the screen right now. Let me do that. Okay, so now the play head went off the screen. Drop the down arrow. You can't see it right now, but if I do the right arrow, it takes us to where that cursor is. So let me know if that made sense, if you guys could see all that on the other end of this right now, if you could hear it. Also, hopefully you can hear my voice talking over the music when it's happening. But what that means is that means that you can just be listening. And here, I'll do it zoomed out a little more so you can see it too. You can be listening, and while you're listening, you can drop this down arrow to, there it is, I dropped the down arrow again. You see the cursor moving wherever it goes? And then do the left arrow, and it centers the cursor on the screen. So that gives us a really quick and easy way, manually using these tools, to move some things around and kind of get to where we're going and stay zoomed out, or zoomed in rather. So here we are. I'm going to take this beat and scoot it over to the to this again. Actually, I think I need to select all again. Let me do that. Select all, scoot this over to the bar 8, press play, and I'm going to listen for the click, and I'm going to listen to the music, and when the click feels a little out to the music, that's where I'm going to make an edit and pull it over. And sometimes you can get away with doing this over a few bars. Sometimes you got to do it like almost every beat. Sometimes you got to do it every couple of beats. But if you do it this way, you can just kind of use your ear and leave the music a little bit more organic sounding while you're doing these edits, rather than just going in and having it sort of in a computerized fashion, just take every single overdub and just or sound and just put it straight on the grid. So watch this. Okay, I could hear that one already got off. See that? So what I did again is I hit the down arrow, and then I hit the left arrow, and I just do it in really quick succession, like do-doop, do-doop. And what it does is it immediately drops that marker and zips it to the center of my screen so I can see what's up. And then I click this, do the shift option, return, so that I know that I've confidently selected everything to end of the Pro Tools session. Again, my video is sort of reversed from the Pro Tools screen, so if I go this way, don't be fooled by the direction on the screen. But now I can just take this and scoot it over to the grid, and bam. And then I'm going to go to the next one and just keep listening like that. Yeah. And also, just to kind of keep tabs on where I am, I'll keep dropping markers and doing that down, left, down, left, down, left, even if I'm not going to stop and chop it there, even if I just want to sort of keep up with where I am. But you can see this one's a little behind, so we'll just scoot it a little bit here. And then I might, scoot that back to clean it up. Okay, you can hear it got on top already. Click got on top there. So it starts to drift. I'll scoot this guy over. And you can see that one fell behind. 1, 2, 3. And you can see that one got on top. 1, 2, 1, 1. And again, they don't have to be perfectly on the grid, but even if they're close enough that you just don't hear a flam against the click, then it's the same thing as if it would sound like it's sort of in the pocket from the music. 1, 2, 3, and. And if this was actually a band playing to a click, they'd be moving around that much anyway. Nobody plays perfectly spot on to the click. And if you do, please prove me wrong and drop a comment in and send us a link to your recordings. All right, so you see I'm just moving things. I'm dropping in that marker when I hear something a little out. And I'm letting the kick be my reference for what should be on the grid. I think you do have to choose an instrument that you're going to say, okay, this instrument should be on the grid. Because I might still move things. I might still later go in and adjust the bass slightly to go more with the kick if I feel like it needs to, that kind of stuff. So again, that was that left arrow, down arrow, left arrow, to quickly bring that to the center. And we were real good, but then we started to drift a little bit. And again, I did say that I'll pick an instrument like the kick to kind of center. But you can also just use your ear. Like if the whole band's a little early and a little late on a note, but the click sounds like it's in the middle of all of that, and you feel like it's good, then it is good. It's your decision aesthetically. So in love with you. Okay, cool. So let's just imagine that you went through the song and you did all that. Let me see if I can go to the bridge where it really got out to, so I can show you what that's all about.
Yes, I see through.
I'm gonna mute the click for a sec so we can find it.
Blue, long.
This is probably it here. Yeah, where I go to the ride. So here, let me go chop this ride, and we'll scoot this. We'll just assume that everything to the left had already been, dealt with or whatever. But even if not, it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna just take this ride, bring it closer to the grid, so it starts over again. Turn the click on.
Sometimes I wonder if the lone.
Can you guys hear the click? All right, I can turn it up a little bit if it needs to be. And then, yeah, cool.
Sometimes I wonder if the loneliness.
And then the other thing I might do is I might actually mute the vocal. I think when I did this, I actually did mute my guitar and vocal and just judged the bass and the drums. Because in this case, when we track this, I want to make sure the drums and bass are really feeling solid. And then if I probably replay my guitar if I need to and really try and get it locked in with the drums and bass too. Because it was a tricky one for me to play. There you go. You hear the band slowing down against the kick. So there you go. That's where this comes in handy. So then you do this. You can really hear that beat falls way behind. And they were probably just listening to me play guitar and sing. And my troubles with staying in time. But you can see this one just keeps drifting. So basically what you're seeing here is you're seeing that we just sort of instinctively slowed down on this bridge. And that's why I was saying earlier that if you wanted to, you could decide that I think I'm going to let the bridge be a slower tempo, and then you could do a tempo change in Pro Tools to follow that. But in this case, I'm going to just assume it was right. 121, that is. Okay, so here, you see what I'm doing. So when I zoom out, you'll see I've chopped up this. So each one of those is a chunk, but look how quickly and easily I was able to go from one to the other and listen at the same time and know what was going on. I mean, if you feel comfortable just doing it visually, you could try that. Some of the tricks are, if you're zoomed out and you can't quite see, you could put it in tab to transient mode and do that to go to the beginning of that kick. But did you see I had to hit it 3 times to get it there? Because it's tabbing and transiting to other transients before it gets to the kick. So that can be kind of nerve-wracking and hard to see. And, at the same time, you're also not listening to what you're doing when you're doing it that way. But so once we've got these ones, so these are all chunks in the beginning where we line things up. Let's hear that again against the click again, and we'll see what it's doing. As far as the guitar in the beginning, I'm just going to let the guitar be its natural thing. Here, let me unmute the guitar so we can hear that too, but we'll leave the vocal muted. And I'll turn on the click when the drums happen. So the idea here is maybe the guitar can be kind of natural, but when the drums come in, everything gets tight. Sounds awkward with the pops, right? So what you want to do is first thing you can do is let's go through where that break is, the false start, and we're going to clean that up. So we're going to say here's the guitar bit, and then the drums come in and go. Actually, I guess it starts from here. Yeah, sorry. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So this, so that's the 1 again. I'll drop a marker there. And And then the band starts here on a 1. And what I'll do is I'll just let me unmute my vocals. I think the full length of the whistling starts right here.
I'm so in love with you.
Okay, so that's the intro. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this bit leading up to the Nashville start, and I'll put it in shuffle mode. And I'm also going to put it, first I'm going to put it in grid mode, and then I'm going to hold the shift button and make sure I'm selecting from 1 here. And then same thing here on this side. Then I'm going to put, so I'm actually going from a 1 beat to a 1 beat. Then I'm going to put it in shuffle mode. Then I'm going to hit delete, and it's going to snap everything back there, but it still snapped it on a grid, so it didn't screw with the timing of all those other edits I made going from this point to the end of the song. Now I can put it back in slip mode in Pro Tools, and then I can zoom in on that where I just took that chunk out. I'll clear out that little snippet. Pro Tools leaves a lot of little snippets in there sometimes, so you got to watch out for that. And I can drag this kick back over. And actually, we can go to the beginning of the guitar part there. Whoops, I don't want to fade. I just want to drag this over here. And I'll probably see this kick starts there. Oh, that's the 1 right there. I think I was wrong about my entry. Hold on. Okay, so this is actually the 1 over here. My bad. So I'm gonna put this in grid again. Chop that. Again, I'll hold the shift and I'll go over so that it's a full bar like that. Then I'll in grid mode. Then I'll go to shuffle and I'll hit delete, and then listen to that. So now we've got a guitar starting and then the drums coming in. You hear the click screwy, but it's going to tighten up as soon as the drums come in. Here we go. Yeah, Dan, good comment. It's a lot of work. You're right. It is a lot of work. Making records is a lot of work, and it's worth doing because it's a lot of fun. Once you learn all these ways of getting things really tight and getting them right, it's, you know, a ton of work, but hugely satisfying to make things sound the way you want to. So there, I just put a crossfade in on that. Now let me show you. I can turn the click back off, and I'll show you what the quick way is in Pro Tools. Actually, you know what? I got to take that fade out. So if I want to get rid of that fade, I can either zoom in, select it and delete it, or I can select across it, go up to edit here, flip down, fades, delete, and it removes that one fade. Now I can select this guy, and I'm going to go all the way over here to there. This is where we stopped editing, you know, going to the right. But so we did this much here with the intro leading into the verse. I'll get rid of this too. We don't need that anymore. And I'll show you how we sort of quickly and easily clean that stuff up to just start listening to it. So in Pro Tools, you have, let me think about it. I always use the quick key for it. So Beat Detective is an, where are we again? Options. Are we? Yeah, give us a shout if you remember where Beat Detective is. Or if we go into Window, I'm not seeing it right there. So maybe we're in Events, Tempo Operations. There it is, Beat Detective. Yeah, we just move it around from year to year. Okay, so here's Beat Detective. And Beat Detective has a really handy thing in here. When you're not even going to use Beat Detective for its timing features, the very last thing that it has is Edit Smoothing right there. And Edit Smoothing just simply says, we're going to have Pro Tools go in there for you, reconnect all those edit points, and then put nice crossfades in them so that it sort of cleans them up. It's not always perfect. A lot of times it's not perfect and you have to adjust them, but at least it's a quick starting point. The second selection you want to do here is fill and crossfade. So it's going to fill the gaps between two edits, and it's going to put a crossfade at whatever length you put in here. So I put in 10 milliseconds, do smooth. Okay, hold on. I think I must have some fade somewhere. I'll try another way of selecting. So let me go here. Oops, there we go. I'm going to select from this point to that point, and then I'll do smooth. There, it did it. You kind of saw it on the screen. I'll do undo. You can see a tiny bit there, and redo, and you just see a little shift there, and that indicates that it just went in and did all that. So now when you zoom in, you'll see, oops, I'm still in tab to transient, turn that off. You'll see that there's a crossfade, and there's that first downbeat. Zip forward, and it put a crossfade where the edit was. Now the edit was not perfectly at the beginning of the kick because I actually selected it a little bit early and just dragged it over. So one thing you can do is you could just go like this, click, and scoot that fade. Oh, we're not gonna be able to scoot that fade anymore. Never mind, because the old kick landed in a funny place, and the new kick lands on the one. Let me tab over, and then you can see there's a crossfade and there's that kick. And again, you'll have to listen to everything to confirm that it sounds the way you wanted it to. You'll also notice that there is a little green triangle here. That is the tempo, that's the timestamp marker for the clip, which used to be called regions in Pro Tools. And it uses that as a sort of a quantization location. So that's one of the things that Beat Detective added to this particular track. It probably, I don't actually know why it added it. I'm not sure entirely why it did put it in there as part of just simply doing a fill and crossfade. But you can see, you know, here's the one, here's our kick. It's a little early, but it's where we put it. I think, although they all look a little early. No, a few of them do. This one looks right on. So I may have just decided that that was close enough. Let me back up, and we'll press play now and see what that sounds like. So there's no more pops, right? Shout out to you, Dave. Thanks for being here, man.
I'm so in love with you.
All right, cool. So that's as far as we edited to. So we'll just we're going to ditch this other stuff so that we don't get distracted by it. We'll just pretend our song's that long. So now you've got this much of the song on a grid with the click. Turn the click back on. So there you go. So that's really what I wanted to show you. I just wanted to show you how to take audio that's not on a click and put it onto a grid and get it onto a click. I still use that method all the time. You can use things like Elastic Audio in Pro Tools. So if I can go back to my big screen. You can still use things like Elastic Audio in Pro Tools and sort of have it quantize things to the grid. You could have it quantize just every bar, you know. You may or may not like the sound of what Elastic Audio does to the sound of your audio when you do that. If you do it this way, if you can get your crossfades to function right, at least you know that every bit of sound is like, it's still pure audio. It's still the way it was recorded, and it's not getting manipulated and processed. It's just getting moved around and crossfaded. That's one of the reasons why Beat Detective tends to sound best for doing drum editing, because it's just, you just got solid, pure tones on all those mics on the drums, multi-mic drum kit. So if you got any more questions about any of this stuff, drop in a question here in the chat, and I'll give you a shout out. And thank you so much for watching this. Please remember to hit the subscribe button. There it is. Well, that's just on the screen. It's down below here. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any videos from Recording Studio Rockstars. Remember to hit that notification bell so that you get notified and your phone will just go like, bing, hey, we're live on RSR, so you can come check it out. And drop in a comment below. If you're watching this video later, drop in a comment and I will continue to answer questions. I try to answer every single one of your comments, emails, comments, wherever you are. If you do want to give me a shout out in email, just send one to Lij, L-I-J, at recordingstudiorockstars.com. And if you are interested in really taking your drum recording, editing, and mixing to the next level and getting really pro drum sounds in your studio, then you should check out my full level course, Rockstars of Drums. I'll put that link in below as well. Just go to rockstarsofdrums.com and you can check that out. That is a session where we brought in a professional Nashville session drummer, Mike Rodovsky, in, and I went through the process of miking up the drums every single way we could think of, from 13 mics on a drum kit all the way down to a single mic technique. We cover things like the Glyn Johns technique. We cover the recorder man technique. We cover the Lij man technique, which is just an adaptation of that and adding in an extra mic. And I just show you some cool ways to get great sounds so that you don't have to feel like you're experimenting on somebody else's session and feeling stressed out about not wanting to make mistakes. You can go and learn what all this stuff sounds like in advance and going confidently for your next drum recording session. Thanks so much for watching, Rockstars. Shout out to all of you. Dan, Chris, great to see you again, man. Awesome. Johnny, thanks for being here from Northern Ireland. Very cool. I've never been there. I want to go visit. Dan and Corey and Louie and the Resident Alien Invasion. Very cool. See you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being a rock star. Cheers.